to another episode of Diary of a Professional.
Ah,
um, about 2 years of adult med surge, a year on days and a year on nights, and then the rest of those years were peds. So that's my RN experience here. I don't know who wants to go next.
well,
Like how we did the intro. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Alverna. Well, I'm a new RN. I've been in the healthcare field for some time. Been around the ropes, CNA, PCT, and then transitioned to RN. Graduated in December last year. So yeah, to the
Oh, fresh, fresh.
Congrats.
Where
Oh,
are you
Awesome.
now?
right now I'm in the ED. Ooh,
Nice.
ooh.
We're gonna have to
exciting.
get back to that one.
Yeah, exciting. Yes.
Okay, what about you, Kim?
All right. So once again, hey, I'm Kim. I have been a nurse for 5 years, so like kind of in the middle between like new and like you guys have been doing it for like 10 plus years. Currently, I am on a med surg telemetry unit. Um, I've been there for about 5 months now, but I've been through a couple of different transitions. I started off on a subacute in a subacute rehab facility. Then I went to an acute rehab facility. I was there for like 2 years. Then I went to L&D because that's what I thought my dream nursing position was going to be. And, it was more of a nightmare, but I'm happy I
I got
tried it.
L&D story myself, and I'm not even an L&D nurse. Go ahead, girl.
We gotta get into that too soon as well.
Go ahead.
So I did that for the full year, and then I did home care for a
Very
year.
Ooh.
I did infusion
nice.
home care,
Nice.
and I did like I guess regular home care. And I was like, you know what? I do want to continue. I want to go back and further my education, and I wanted to go back in the hospital, keep my skills current. So that's why I'm on a med surg unit now.
Nice.
You are
Mm.
decorated over
Yes.
there.
Yes, yes.
You
I
and
like
them
to,
five
I like to
minutes
feel
threw
it
it
out.
in.
I was like, I'm gonna get all the experiences.
I think
Yes.
that's actually I think that's a good take on it though, because you get a little idea of what each area is like, each specialty is like. So that's really good.
Yeah, and I feel
Yeah.
like even though they're all different, it's all nursing, and you bring something to each, to each different specialty, and I just continue to grow in confidence and like nursing judgment on every step of the way. So it's been, my parents are like, okay, you're changing jobs again. I'm like, well, yes, because, but I
That's
feel
nursing
like
for you.
that's nursing for you. I felt burnout, and I feel like sometimes too. I didn't like how it felt, so I'm like, you know what, maybe it's time for me to try something else and see what fits. So,
Yes. There are options.
yeah, there are.
Yes.
For
Okay.
me, I have. Oh, what happened, Ashley?
No, go ahead. No, I just
Okay.
I felt what Kim was saying. Go ahead. Go
Right.
ahead, Monica.
Right. I have been a nurse. Ooh, is it like 11 years, maybe? Something like that. Um, I did school nursing. That was actually my first. I started out in school nursing before I got my hospital job, which I have been at ever since. It's been like almost 11 years that I've been doing pediatric hematology, oncology, bone marrow transplant.
That's
I
amazing.
kind of fell in love. I've never left, and I can't see myself leaving. So yeah, we could have this conversation 20 years from now. I'll probably say the same thing.
It's good.
It's interesting you say that because I wanted to ask all of you ladies because we come from Caribbean, West Indian descent, and I just want to know like, did culture play a big factor into becoming a nurse? I'm just curious.
I'll let y'all answer first.
Yeah, like I'm just curious as you know.
For me, I would say yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Because growing up, like from the islands and seeing like what I've seen with the lower class not having adequate health care and stuff like that. I felt like for me, I wanted to try to make a difference, and it's from ever since a kid, I knew that this is the profession that I wanted. So when I came to the country, it wasn't any question in my mind as to what route I'm gonna take, what job, even though I started off in retail, um, literally 1 year after coming here, then I went and do CNA because I wanted to make that transition straight up to
Mhm.
art. So I felt like, yeah, that's culture
And
aspect
those who
played.
don't know, that's a certified nurse assistant.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I totally think culture played a big role. I'm Haitian, and I mean, I, I live in a town that's full of Haitians. I think every third person that Haitian I know is a nurse, so it's just a very common profession amongst the Haitian community. And also, too, growing up, my parents wanted to make sure that I was in a job that would provide me, financial stability and security. And so they were like, you're either going to do a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, because they, I'm first generation and they really did struggle to come here and they worked jobs that they did not love to help, support me, put me through school. So they're like, we want return on investment and we want to make sure that when you grow up, like you're able to fend for yourself and then eventually fend for us. But yeah, they are, I think Caribbean communities are really big on job stability and the ability to be financially stable. And so that like roles like healthcare, unfortunately, there are always going to be people that are sick. There are always going to be people in the hospital or nursing homes or in doctor's offices. So you're always going to have a job and you'll be okay in that sense.
It's
Mhm.
true. For me, honestly, as a kid, I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician. Like, I wanted to be a doctor. Like, I have a lot of uncles who are doctors, a lot of my cousins who are doctors, and they are who I look up to. And it honestly wasn't until my father got sick and then being in the hospital like every day. The people I saw were the nurses. I don't think I ever saw the doctor for the months that he was there. And I was like, this is what makes a difference. Like these are the people who are catching things and taking care. And I didn't intend to go into oncology and he had cancer, whatever, but I guess serendipitously it happened that way. Um, because it happened like I think around my junior into senior year of high school. So it kind of transformed me at that point, and I guess it was perfect because that's what I'm applying to school, for majors or whatever. So that's how. Yeah, I never planned on going into nursing, even though I'm surrounded by it. But I'm thankful I'm not a doctor, and I'm happy I'm a nurse. So I gotta say.
Yes.
Same. Same.
That's interesting because I feel that a little of both um, kind of projected to where I am. I felt like it was a little bit of culture where it was
Mhm.
like, okay, this is what we do. You
Right.
know, this is what we do. We a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer. This is what we do. But at the same time, um, a part of me felt like I was just gonna be a musician because I was just so deep in my violin at
Nice.
that time.
Okay.
But I did realize I did want to give back as much as I can and could in this lifetime. So I realized I did want to be a nurse. But I knew that there was a part of culture that's like, no, but you're highly respected too, like as well in the culture to do this. So I felt like both of the factors played a role of little what I want and what culturally is I see around too as well. So I was just curious on y'all thoughts about how culture played a fact because I feel like if you're Caribbean, it's like
You're gonna be a nurse or a doctor. Yeah.
yeah, it's like
You
Yeah.
have
Some
like
is
three, maybe
practical.
four career paths. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to throw the engineer in there too. Yeah.
yes, yes,
yes.
that's true.
Yes.
Yes.
Very true. Engineers,
Yeah.
very true. So, but I want to ask you all too. How was your first year of nursing. How was it? I just want to know how's your
Ooh,
first year,
back in
Albert?
my,
Like, how was your first year? Like, I am curious.
you just came up on your anniversary, right, Alverna?
Yeah.
Like, how
I'm
has it
I'm
been?
like, wow, honestly, like I can't believe this how quick the time flew by. Like it went by so fast in the blink of an eye. Um, because the crazy thing is, I just started in the ED 5 months ago. Wow, yeah, it's been next month is gonna be 6 months. Wow. When I graduated in December, straight off the boards, even before I took the boards. I started working because of the law that they passed. I was able to work as a graduate nurse in the nursing home. So that kind of helped pave my way into the ED in a sense because, with the ED, they need experience and they don't take new grads. Um, so from the minute I sat down January 1st on my computer and just started applying. And I was like, okay, I think that was like the Monday or something like that over the weekend. And then by the Wednesday, I got a call and said, okay, I can come in for the interview. And they were so short staffed that they asked me right on, they're like, when can you start? And I was like, um, I can start. I'm not doing it, so I can start the next day. Okay, because when I went in for the interview, I actually carried on my credentials, on my certifications, because I had my CNAs, I had my PEKGs, phlebotomy. I had
Mhm.
already done my the IV certification. Like I just did everything, just to help paved the way because at the time I was an associate ADN nurse and I was like, okay, I'm competing with BSN, so I need to get everything on the table. So I went and got these certifications done and I got hired. It was challenging. That was a very hectic few months given the fact that I had to prepare for not only working but I'm also preparing for the boards at the same time. So
Oh,
Wow.
that
yeah.
was a very rough few months. But dealing with
Right.
like, yeah, it was so short staff.
Whew.
40 patients to one nurse. Yeah, but
Oh, that nursing home life.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
kind
rough.
of. Despite that, I'm still grateful, honestly, because I felt like if it was when I reached the ED, because I knew ED was my specialty that I wanted to be in.
Really?
Yeah, because before I went to nursing school. I used to be an ED tech. Before I went to labor and delivery, work on the mother baby unit, I was an ED tech, and from since then, I knew that I wanted to be back in the ED. So I kind of like the nursing home dealing with 40 patients, the workload. It kind of helped me because I know what I'm gonna be facing when I get to the ED because I had no doubt that I'm gonna get there. So that kind of helped me. Then I went and I got to the ED and I applied for the position. After I finished my boards, I completed. I was successful. Thank you, Jesus. Um,
Yes.
so then I applied, and so said done. The particular man, she was like, we don't really hire new grads. And I was like, okay, but I have XYZ amount of experience in the healthcare, in as a ED tech. This is what I'm bringing to the table. I'm pretty sure that I'm competent. Even though I may not have the BSN at the time, I am competent, and I may not have a nursing experience, but I do have a sense of the nursing home experience, and I think that goes a long way dealing with the workload of the amount of patients that you work with. And she listened to me, and the interview went well, and she was like right there in front of me, she was like, I'm gonna give you this opportunity. You have proven yourself. So I was grateful for that. But whoosh, that
Hmm.
ED, I don't know if that's what I signed up for. But
And I mean, like, also during these, it's
COVID
interesting to
time.
be in nursing during this specific time.
And to
time.
start in nursing during this time
This
During
too.
this
time
time.
it is not an easy task. It is not
No.
like the with the pandemic. It's and then the fact that, as we know, anywhere you go there's a shortage, and especially in the healthcare setting as a staff, I should say, as a staff, being a staff nurse, because everybody is venturing from being staff to go elsewhere, um, traveling and such and such. So for me, it's like it's a struggle, it's a challenge, um, because you have cases that are packed on cases in the ED, and then we have no staff to cater.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very rough. It's challenging, but every day I wake up and I'm like, I'm gonna go. Sometimes I'm like, I'm not. I want to go to work today, but then I think back and I'm like, you know what? If I don't go, what difference am I gonna make if I stay home or if I go somewhere? What difference am I? How am I gonna come make a difference to this? I'm only making the problem worse when so that's just the mentality that I have, that
Wow.
I'm only making it worse if I don't go in. I don't even make sense, but yeah.
No,
So
you
No,
do.
No,
no, it
you're making
does. It
complete
does.
sense.
Yeah.
so I feel like every day I still like get up and I still go in despite the fact of I may go in and I'm like, I may curse. I'm like, "Ah, we have no staff again tonight." But then the next day, like for example, like the other morning, they called me at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was sleeping. I worked the night before and I slept all day, and when I woke up around like 10 something, and I see all these missed calls, these messages asking me to come in. And I was like, oh my God. So then I actually called back my manager at around 12, and I was like, do you guys still need me? She's like,
Yeah, they
yeah,
do.
sure. So I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, so I'll be there like in half an hour to an hour. So I got there at 1 o'clock. Everybody was like, wow, you came in at 1 o'clock. How are you? I'm like, because it's like I know they need the help. I know they need, so I'm gonna go and contribute and help with them. So yeah, it's rough, but it takes guts. You gotta have the heart for it. Like anybody who coming into this field right now, those new grads who coming in, you nursing is something that you have to be passionate about. If you
That's
coming into it just for the money, you're gonna be disappointed.
Miserable. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you need to have the heart for it. So
don't think you'll give that patient care the way you should too if you're not in it for.
you're absolutely 100%. You're not the it's gonna reflect in your care. If you're not coming in passionately about it, it's gonna reflect in your care. And trust me, these patients will eat you alive, especially they know that you're new. They will eat you
Oh,
alive.
trust me. I mean, and I say that because my first year was super tough, and it made me question if I wanted to be an RN. I was like, is this really the right track for me? Like, am I in the right field? Because I used to leave my shifts feeling defeated, in tears, like confused. Like, did I do right? Did this patient right? What just happened? Like, it was just a whirlwind of like WTF. Like, what just happened? And I mean, between sometimes I felt like certain staff would kind of like give me a hard time because I was new or green.
Yes,
I'm just being
that's
completely transparent right here.
transparent. That's one of the major challenges.
Like I'm new, so they're trying to give me a little hard time, or the assignment that they feel like I deserve because I'm new, or just dealing with patients that realize because I was a baby. I just turned
Yeah,
22, like legit a baby.
yeah.
So then my patients at that time see I'm super young and new, so they're like they didn't even take me seriously at times. They'd be like, "Oh, nope, I don't want you as my nurse. I don't want you as my
Yeah,
nurse."
yeah,
Or I'll get spit on, or I'll be cursed
Mm.
out. My first year, I was like, what did I sign up for? Like, this
or
is not how I expected it to be
Right.
yes,
at all. So, I mean, granted, I was happy to eventually have like those few coworkers, and they were all new to themselves at that time. We all like kind of
think
clicked
together.
together. It was like, okay, let's figure this out. And literally each
Yeah,
time, like there was like someone who needed a change for IV. It was like, who wants to try it? Like, it was like that kind of camaraderie going
Yeah.
on there.
That's
Like,
awesome.
yeah, it was like, okay, let's try to do this IV. Let's do this trach care together. Let's do this Foley
Right.
together.
Right.
And I mean, I'm grateful for that now. Like, I can do any of that stuff with my eyes closed.
Eyes closed.
But if I didn't have those colleagues at that time, I would have been like, nope, I'm sorry. Like, I can't. I can't.
Yeah. You
So.
need that in the field. You do need that teamwork. You need teamwork because without the team, and when they say that nurses do eat the young alive, before I got in, the professors did say that nurses do eat the young alive, and I was like, oh no. But then getting in there, I actually see not all of them. Some they don't want to, they feel like, okay, why should I be training you? Like, I'm just like, you forget that you were once a new nurse. And I feel like that's something you should never ever forget, because at the end of the day, there gonna come that point in time when you're gonna leave the profession and someone new is gonna have to take over. So why not train that person to be, if you're that good, why not want to welcome that person with open arms, to train them to be as good as you are, or even better, so that way when that time do comes, that person is competent to give adequate care. But then there's also those who, like you said, they stick together, and those one who will try to nurture you and try to teach you. And I've seen both sides while I've been working within this first year. I've seen both sides of that.
That's why I know, because my first year was quite challenging for me.
Yeah.
And I worked on a pretty tough unit in that hospital at that time. So, yeah, I don't know. How was it for you, Kim or Marlu?
Yeah, I agree. The same thing. It was challenging. It was scary. I think I still wasn't 100% sure of like, I knew in general what a nurse did, but there were a lot of question marks. I was like, is this okay? Like, do I have to? It was just so many. I didn't know how to write a note. I was just, when something would happen, I'd be like in distress. Like, what do I do? Um, and I was my first year, I spent like half of it working in the subacute rehab, and it was on a unit with a lot of like patients that were on vents and trachs, and I just was so fearful that somebody was gonna code, or I just was anxious all the
Yeah.
time.
Thankfully, they can't yell at you though.
That's true.
Yes,
That's
yes.
true. It was just very, it
Those
was
are the
very
best.
easy. I would just crush those meds and just
Yes.
1, 2, 3, but it taught me a lot. It really did. And when I went to the acute rehab which was a hospital after having that subacute experience, I went in feeling a little better, that I even though it was really rough, and I used to get like mandated to stay over, like because the staffing was so terrible, because I was 8-hour shifts at the time. So um, and I didn't know that I could refuse. I was like, oh my God, if I refuse, maybe I'll lose my job. So they're like, you have to stay. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to. But it helped me with going into the next part of my first year when I was in the hospital. And I did experience in the subacute rehab, everybody was kind of my age, so it wasn't really a lot of nurses eating their young. But I did experience a little bit of that when I got to the hospital, because I worked with a lot of older nurses. And some of them they'll try to test you. Oh yeah, let's give her this assignment or that. But I also had nurses, I was on the night shift, and they were all nurses of color. And those that were my color, or, from my culture, would always kind of look out for me. And I'm so grateful for that, because they really helped guide me and mold me, and they've served as mentors to me. And I felt like, although there are times that the other nurses might try to like check me, or, test me, I know that I do have the support of other nurses, and I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel as anxious, because I knew I had people to turn to that could help me out.
Right.
So it was started off rocky and ended up a little bit better. And yeah, that was my first year. It was an experience for sure. But for sure.
Yeah.
I can't say mine was bad. Like I was in a fellowship, so it's very structured, and it was like six of us. So there's six brand new people starting the same time as you. You have your assigned preceptor, and thankfully I had a good one. She was like a Guyanese Indian woman, so one of the few like, people of color on the floor, and she's a sweetheart, like a mama. And she like took care of me and took me under her wing. So even when I had like my other fellows who were like struggling or like I want a new preceptor but didn't know how to tell the nurse educator or like I like honestly I never cried that first year and I was like, is this weird? Like am I normal? Because I never had that. Like it's also not my personality to be super stressed about things, but like I don't know. Thankfully, the environment that they created and because it's such a specialty and they want you to know it and they need you to know the things that they do, it's not rushed, and they really go through it, and I think I was able to flourish and not feel super overwhelmed by the experience.
That's
Yeah,
that's good. And I do encourage people to like nurses if they have a fellowship to just do it, you know.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
do it. That is the best way,
yeah.
honestly, really and truly. So, I mean, as women of color, how do you guys feel it may be different for us nurses?
Maybe it is.
It is.
Let 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 the people know.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you? The reason why I'm wearing this today, my institution is like white, like predominantly white. Like I am currently like the only black nurse, whether day shift or night shift. We just got one black one, and that was after a 5 year span, and that was we've never had more than three.
Wow.
So,
That
yes,
is
you might
sad.
have Asian, maybe an Indian or two, but like as
Wow.
far as black, no. And I swear it wasn't until the pandemic that I felt comfortable wearing a head wrap to work.
Mm,
Like I've always, it's just whether it's the culture and you don't see it. If they're not like Jewish, you don't see anyone with a head wrap or a cover. You know what I mean? I do
Right.
see the CNAs do it, but I feel like it's a different vibe. And the CNAs are mostly black, so
Hmm.
it's different, And I like would always ask myself, like, why do I not feel comfortable? Like, if this is me in my regular day, just, but and even after being there for over 10 years, it's different. It's different. I have patients even till today. Oh, I've never seen you around. Like, how long have you been here? Oh, I've just been here for 10 years. Where you been? Like,
Wow.
oh, like, I'm not, and no offense to the CNAs, but there are times I'm the charge nurse and they think I'm the CNA. Like, my badge, it says RN on it.
Big and
I came
bold.
in with the other nurse and introduced myself. We have white tops. They don't. But no, and I don't look like any of them on the floor either because we all don't look alike.
Ah.
Um, so those things are, oh, where'd you go to school? And I wonder, like, are y'all having this conversation with the rest of them? Or y'all just having this with me?
With you.
with
Does that somehow
Right.
me.
validate me?
Right.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Right.
Because even like with you, you have, your associates, but you still take the same NCLEX that we do. You
Right.
know what I mean? So if you're able to pass it, yes, you are qualified.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I elevated. I went and got the BSN now.
oh, I mean, it's not a secret. But
She's like just throwing that out there.
Just saying that I got
yeah,
it. Yeah. But
yeah,
yeah. But no, absolutely. You're 100% correct with that. Like too many times that people they look down because you look down on the ADNs because of the fact that okay, they have the ADN and the other have the BSN. You went to a 2 year school, I went to a 2 year school, you went to a 4 year school. We both took the NCLEX the same year, same time,
yeah,
graduated. So there is it's one NCLEX. There is no NCLEX for BSN and ADN. It's one
Mm.
NCLEX. But yeah.
Right.
In terms of the headband, it's amazing to hear you say that you're now wearing your headband to work because I wore a headband one time, and which is crazy because despite the fact that the facility that I work is predominantly black. Yeah, thank God. But I wore a headband one time, and not even a wrap. It was just one of those headbands, just to because at the time I had my hair in the front, and I just when I lean over, it fell falling in my face. So the next night, I decided that I'm gonna wear just a wrap around the head just to pull the hair back. And I was told that I have to take it off. It's not
Mm.
it's not appropriate and not appropriate work attire. So I had note it was the color of Kimberly's headband, right? It was a brown. It wasn't
Mm.
nothing bold, no bold colors, no bright colors. It was a brown headband, just to pull my hair back. And I was told that it's not appropriate work attire. It's not appropriate for my work attire. I was like, oh. Meanwhile, I looked over and I saw someone else with a color headband. So
Oh.
honestly, I didn't say like I didn't even utter a word at that time. I just gave the eye. I looked at the other individual and I looked at the person and then she's like, "Oh, don't look at her. Don't follow her. You just remember that you're new."
Oh my God.
Is that an employee
Honestly,
handbook?
Right, I was
honestly,
gonna say, can you show me the
yeah,
policy of where it
honestly,
says like
I was so furious on the inside. I just walked
Wow.
away. I just walked because I felt like if I had said something, I probably would have lost my job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Yeah,
So
sometimes it's just
I was
better
like,
to
they would say certain things are better left unsaid. So that was one of those moments. It was left unsaid. I just walked away. Yeah. I was like, wow. Wow. Okay.
that is something else.
I'm happy to see from since then I never wore back my headband because I'm just like, but I think one day I just might, just to see. I like to
Yeah.
test water. I like to test water sometimes.
Hmm.
As you should, and it's interesting because I've had fellow colleagues with the same issue with headbands, religious purposes. It's like, oh
Yeah.
no, that's just not what you're supposed to do, you know. So I always find it interesting when then you will see someone else
Mm-hmm.
wearing their headbands,
Headbands.
their long hair
Hair.
flashing
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, wait, how is my headband affecting?
Affecting.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, are we focusing on my headband right now when we literally have like 5 nurses here in the ED? Like, we're focusing on the wrong things. Mm, in nursing, we learn about prioritization. Where are your prioritization? But
The funny thing, though, I think we need. Maybe I'll do another episode where we have to bring someone with leadership from leadership because sometimes I want to ask them like, "Oh, what is the purpose of this right now?"
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Like, my name wasn't on the board today. It wasn't. Yes, we know that wasn't. That wasn't necessary right now today. You know, so yeah. That's just very interesting in terms of that. But I also want to ask you guys too, like, what advice do you have for nurses coming in fresh, just studying right now, and yeah, just not not aware of how nursing can be. What advice do you have for them?
Um, I'll say soak it all in. Be humble because a lot of these new nurses, I don't know if it's because my mom is a CNA, and a lot of them are West Indian, in my location. So I gravitate toward them. We have a relationship. Um, you are capable of doing what they do. You know what I mean? You are not above it. And regardless of who trains you to make you feel that way, because that happens too, you are not above those tasks. I think they should know to stand up for themselves. Um, my mom says all the time, like, your name is not on that building. Like, God bless you, Alverna. I feel like it's that young altruistic, like, they need me. Yes, they need you, but sometimes you need you and you need rest. And if I feel to call out, I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm not burnt out because if I'm on my way to work and I get into a car accident, something happened to me, like, I'm replaceable. And they're going to pay someone 3 times my salary to do what I do with less training. They just need a body. And so I have to, I think, God bless, all the nurses who are out here traveling now, like, prioritize yourself. You do not owe these institutions anything. If they trained you, that was their job. It's not free labor. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that's where top of mind right now.
Yeah.
I would say, like, kind of jumping off of what you said, Marlu, just respect, like, with the humility, and just respect everybody. Everybody on that floor plays a role, whether they are housekeeping, your admin assistant, your techs, or NAs, PCAs, whatever they're called at your facility, you know. And like you said, you can do the same job that they do, and you need to speak to them with respect. You need to communicate, um, everything, because some of these NAs will be the first one to know your patient is declining,
Yep.
Yes.
or they'll find them like out like a light, or the housekeeper or whatever. you know, don't think that you are above somebody because you have a few letters after your name. Great. You're a human being just like they are. You don't know their story. They don't know your story. So just treat everybody with respect. I think it's just good karma and just being a decent human being.
Human.
And I think you'll never know when you might need them. And, sometimes
Because
some
you
people will
will.
hold grudges and they'll be like, oh, you know what? She's always thinking that she can't do X, Y, Z. She's struggling with that patient. I'm going to go on break now because
And it's like that.
They will.
yeah,
They will
I've
say
had
that.
NAs
Yes.
tell me that, like I want
Yeah.
to make sure like we are working as a team. It's not, yes, there's a hierarchy of, responsibility, but we're all working together to make sure that the patients are taken care of, we're giving them safe, competent care, and everybody feels, the same. Everybody feels treated well. So I would say that, and also um, don't be afraid to try something different. I could speak from personal experience when I say that. But yeah, I think oftentimes some nurses will go into nursing. Like Marlo, and Ash, I think it's great you guys have like found your niche and like you love peds. And Alverna, you seem to really, even though the ED is challenging, you seem to really love it. But somebody might think that that's for them. They go in it and they hate it, and they dread going to work. And they're calling out and they're anxious, and that doesn't have to be your nursing career.
Yep.
You can try
Right.
something else. That's the beauty of the profession. There are so many different specialties and avenues you can go down, so you don't have to feel restricted and stressed and like, potentially leaving the field because of that. So I would say just keep your eyes open to other opportunities and specialties, because you never know where you'll find your niche and where you'll find your home.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Oh,
yeah, same I would say. And something you said, Kimberly, you said to about the CNAs, the PCTs, is to speak with them, to talk with them. I like that you speak to them, you speak with them as opposed to speaking over them or speaking to them. You speak with them. There's a difference with speaking with someone and speaking to someone, because when you speak to them, your tone of voice might come across in such a way that they will feel disrespected and they will feel like, okay, you feel like you're more than them, which you're not. Um, so I would say the same thing. Just be humble, be patient, and don't be, like Kim said, don't be afraid. Try everything, and yeah.
I agree. Please, humility. You have to be humble. Ask questions,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ask questions. Like, because depending on where you go, med surge, eat, some, you will be thrown out there. Once, depending on where you are, if you do not have a fellowship, once that 6 to 8 weeks are
Weeks.
up, you are thrown out there. So please ask questions, because if you don't ask, they may not really help at all.
And go home and do
Like,
your research.
Yes.
you know,
Because no matter, despite the fact that you're sorry, despite the fact that you finished school, it's nursing. You never finish school.
You never finish
You
learning.
never finish
No.
school.
On the
I've
job.
learned that. I've learned that. Like every day, you're still online doing some sort of research, because there's something changing. As I say, nursing changes every day. So
Yeah.
every day there is something new to learn. So even though there's something when you go to work and you see something and something happens to your patient, and you know something critical may happen, or even if it's not critical, what and you don't understand it, you ask your preceptor, and then still you go home. I did that when I were on orientation. I would write down every little thing, and when I come home, I do my own little research, and then I go back the next day, and I'm like, okay, I saw this XYZ. Can you explain how and stuff like. So you have to always be willing to do your own research as well, and don't give up on the learning.
Right.
Yeah.
agree. I do agree. I just want to know too, as well, how is the relationship with you all with doctors or providers too? Because I know we like talked and touched upon like hierarchy. I'm just curious how it is by y'all. Like, do you feel like I feel like that's an issue in hospital life too in itself. I feel like providers can be really can be at times condescending to nurses. Nurses can be condescending to CNAs and PCTs. I just feel like it's just a trail of just
Yes.
it's just
Yes, yes.
Trickles down,
it
yes.
just trickles down, and I'm
It
just
does.
curious
You know what?
about.
In tying to what you're saying and your last question, trust your gut because pharmacy could write something, the doctor could say something. At the end of the day, it's your license. Um, the doctor's not your boss. You're not under his license or her license. Um, in my specialty, thankfully, we don't have interns on the floor. That's just, they will never touch my unit. If you're a resident, you have to be a third year. It's only fellows who like work, NPs, PAs, and attendings, and we have our own set of attendings. So you kind of know who's who and the personality who's on that week, but at least it's not like, random services that like kind of go all around. They're here for 2 seconds. Like we know our doctor. So I feel like it's different. And the people who come overnight, they have to lean a lot of times on the nurses. And because we know what we know, you're not going to just tell me anything. And I have no problem going to the fellow over your head if there's a problem. It takes a while to get there, I will say. But I think, in my hospital, they do respect my unit because we're so specialized and we're so particular and we know our patients and we know how to take care of them. So, but I know med surg is probably very different. So I'm curious to hear y'all's experience.
Many different different type of providers. I deal with interns, residents of first, second, all the different years, NPs and PAs. Uh, Not very many fellows, and the attendings I very rarely deal with them. More so the residents. I would say it's half and half. Some are really great and they'll be signed in under a patient. I'm like, oh, great. Like I know I'll be able to like, let them know what I need and I'm not going to get like an attitude or I'm going to get a timely response. And then others I know I'll have to be paging them because they're not responding back. So I used to take offense, or I used to be kind of scared to write something. But if this is emergent or if it's really vital to my patient's care, that's out the window now. I'm like, listen, if you want me to blow you up, now I'm gonna have to be blowing you up because you're not answering the text. I'm trying all these forms of communication. You're not replying. now I got to do all this because I need your attention. You need to, you know, come see my patient or XYZ, whatever I'm asking. So I don't have to do that often. Most of them are pretty good communicating with the nurses, but yeah, there are times that you really have to kind of puff up your chest a little bit and assert yourself in a way that is still like respectful and professional. Because I feel like sometimes if you do go too crazy, that's when you kind of like, lose your ground and it can be a mess. You don't need all that drama. But it's half and half, I would say, with the doctors and the providers.
It's the same for me. It's half and half. Some could be very nasty, should say, for lack of words. And then there's some that they're very helpful, very on point with everything. And like for me, my facility is a teaching hospital, so I deal with everyone. First year
July.
students,
Yeah, same.
the students coming in, the med students, the first year, the second year. So as a nurse, you have to really be on point. Hence the reason why I said to go and do, because you have to be on point, because sometimes these doctors may write, especially the first year, they might write something. Remember, they're just in their level of practice, they're where you were in your first year or when you were in nursing school. So it's like, gotta kind of really understand. So you gotta really be on point with your studies and what you know, because they might write something and then you have to question that order. Like, hey, and it's not even like going at them. You just be like, did you mean to write this XYZ?
Hmm.
You think this is, and then you give your suggestion. Then they will be like, oh, thank you for catching that. And they will change the orders. And then I have some of them who actually goes around and they will do, because of how chaotic it gets, they will do their blood draws. So when a patient comes in, they
Hmm.
will work the patient up and they will just come and tell you like, oh, hey, I got the labs already. All you got to do is just. Then I have some who will be like, oh, just pull the meds and I'll give and I'll be like, oh, kudos to you,
Awesome.
thank
Oh
you,
my
Jesus.
gosh.
Yeah,
That's a
but
unicorn.
yes.
I can go where you
Okay.
are.
Yes, so it very it have those time, because in the ED for the most part, I think because of they know how short we are, majority the ones who we get the nasty attitude from, I would say, is the admitting doctors. Sorry to say, message people, but those admitting doctors, when they come down, because I guess they don't understand the flow of the ED, so they
Mm.
think everything is supposed to be, like done when they put it, and it's supposed to be done in the heartbeat. Meanwhile, we have all these new walk-ins coming in,
People coming
ambulantly
Right.
in,
coming in.
yeah. You
So
guys are just trying to like get them to where they gotta go. It's like, listen, you
exactly,
figure it out when they
exactly.
get there.
Exactly. So the ED doctors are the ones who are more like a team player with us. Like they will
Yeah.
always be on point and be like, okay, always hands on with the nurses and work together.
Awesome.
But when it comes to the admitting doctors, oh my God, help me, Jesus. But yeah, but it's half and half with my facility.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been in med surge in some years. Because when I was in peds, we only had the attendings at that time who we corresponded with. So, and then in NICU, it's the NPs. So I haven't had to interact with interns and med students, but when I did, it was everyone: the med students, the interns, the second year, third year, fourth year. I did it all,
Feel
and
very ghetto. I'm sorry.
yeah, I have to deal with it all. And it was frustrating. And like July, I'm on edge. I'm
Oh
on
my
edge
God.
July,
Bloody
July 4th
July.
weekend. Around that time,
Yeah.
I'm on edge. Okay.
Take
And
it
they're
off.
the sweetest. At that time, they're sweet because they don't know anything. They want to get
Yes.
to know
They're like,
you.
oh my God, where can I get the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I
Yes.
borrow your stethoscope? I don't
Yeah.
know.
One of
Don't let
them
them.
literally took my pen light, and to this day, I'm wondering what happened to my pen light.
It will be gone.
They're the sweetest thing at that
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
but you really have to watch their orders because they will. put in a heparin IV when they just mean a heparin sub Q every 8 hours
Yeah.
or so. It's every 6 to 8
Yeah.
hours or whichever. So it's like you have to really gawk them, pay attention to the orders. But they're the sweetest things. But give them a few months when they get settled in.
Hmm.
You may you get a whole different person. All of a sudden now they don't know you, and if anything, their attitude completely changes. So I found that quite interesting too when I was in adult med search. I was like, wait, we were homies. Why
Hmm.
are you talking to me with such authority now? Like,
They get a little hair on their chest. They be feeling themselves. They be like,
Me
yeah,
too.
they're like, nurse,
Thank you.
you know.
Thankful. My chief attending is pro nurse, so he has no problem checking all of these doctors
Good.
in a heartbeat.
That's the
On
way it
her
should be.
behalf.
That's
Yeah.
good.
and that's how it should be. And
Should be.
Right.
granted,
Yeah.
like once in a while I'll call like if they're really giving me a hard time. Like sometimes once in a while I have those really annoying interns. I was like, I'm gonna just call your 30. I'm gonna just call the fellow. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
wrap this all up.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are your good ones. There are your bad ones. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
experienced that. I did. I'll say this. I had a colleague there, a coworker there at that time when I was transitioning and transferring to peds. They were like, Ashley, you came in so sweet, wholesome. You barely wanted to go on the phone and ask for help. You were just such a doll. He's like, and now you're leaving here tough and a bitch. That was our purpose. We did it.
We
Now
broke
you
her.
can go.
Yes.
You can go out there and be well and be that nurse you should be.
You're free to go. Now you can go into the
I
world
love
open
it.
arms.
So I would say like adult med surge, it gives you some thick skin for sure. Cause
Y'all
I
can
did
keep
come
that
in
adult
very
life.
timid. I didn't know. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to call this resident and call this. Then after a while, it was just like, yeah, who you
Yeah,
talking to? You know, after a while, your skin gets pretty thick. But yeah, I feel that's something that in healthcare we really need to work on, and just how we speak with each other, and
Nothing.
so true.
because
Yes.
I feel like if we had that, things would be better. Because the way, just like I said, that trickling effect, it's
Right.
really disgusting
Yeah.
at times. So I wish like things would get better. And this is like almost at any workplace too. It's just the culture of
Yeah.
healthcare, you know.
Okay.
It's like like surgery teams are surgery teams. You know, L and
I was
D.
thinking neurosurge, but they're like awesome.
Nurse sometimes they're not that bad, but surgery teams, I mean, overall, most people have an idea of surgery teams. It can be a little, tough.
Yeah.
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 L&D, sometimes it could be a little tough too. So each place have its pretty much the same culture. So sometimes I wish we would work better on like changing that culture in
For
itself,
sure.
you know. But this is my last question to you all, ladies. Are you guys happy with being a nurse and will you continue in this field?
Oh, I wouldn't change it in a heartbeat.
Mm, boom. That was quick.
I'm very happy. Challenging, but happy.
Hmm.
Yes. I wouldn't change. And like I said, the ED is my home, especially. I feel like if I go on the med surge, I wouldn't be happy. Truthfully. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Anyone else?
How about you,
Um,
Kim?
I am content at the moment.
Honest.
I'm
Like
not
that
happy.
answer.
I
I
like
like
I'm
that
not
that.
answer.
I
happy
like that.
all the time. There are times when I get very upset and I'm frustrated. And to be honest, I do question, especially with like when there's staffing issues and I just feel like I want to do more and I physically cannot do more. I'm like, gosh, it would be so much better to be a non-essential worker and to just, do some other job. But I I do have days where I feel very fulfilled and I feel like it reminds me of why I got into this profession in the first place. And I'm like, you know what, Kim, like it's life. There's going to be really terrible times, there'll be really great times, and that's what it is right now, but you are going to get through it, and I think that I have a plan in motion. Like, I'm not going to be at the bedside forever. So I think as I like work on that, I think that will help with my contentment with the field in general. But for
Mhm.
now, I'm okay. I'm still sticking through it because I do find it fulfilling and rewarding, and I feel like it is my calling, but it can be stressful and just really suck at times, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I definitely love it. Like I've asked myself many times, like if I weren't a nurse, like what would I be doing? And my mind just goes blank. Like I just don't see anything else. I do like options because I mean I could be bedside forever, but we'll see. So, and just seeing how that works and what that looks like for me, and do I still maintain some bedside or whatever? But I think I don't know. The the fulfillment I get of being there, even if it's like a patient's final days, like I remember when I first started in nursing school, it was an AIDS patient who said, never forget to like keep your compassion. And I've never forgotten that. And I think it gives you a lot of perspective, and it's like it's an honor to be there, even like families remember that, and you want to kind of be the best version of yourself for them, and I love it. So I'm good right now. I'm pretty good. Yeah.
Well, I do know I am very happy to be in this field, and I don't know where I would be if I weren't in this field. But I will say though, I mean, now I hit over 10 years. I started what December 2010, and now it's 2022. I'm curious to see. Um, I don't know. Once I hit 20 years, I always tell myself, I don't. Let's see in my 40s if I'll still be in nursing. Um, I love nursing. I'm passionate about it, but there's so much other things to do, and I feel I can explore elsewhere too. And I've went different avenues. I've done some adult med surge. I've done peds. I've been in NICU for a little bit. Nursery. I kind of floated around among those units, and now I'm like outside of bedside nursing as an NP too. Like now I'm like in a whole different realm too. So I'm gonna see how this is for the next several years, and then after that I'm like I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm curious. Will I still be in nursing? Will I venture into something else in nursing, or do I say, you know what, I feel like I put a good imprint in these 20 years and let me do this. So I don't know. I'm curious because I'm yeah, I'm just curious. We'll see. I love what I do, but there's so much to life, so
Yeah.
I guess stay tuned. In a way. So thank you ladies for joining me
Thank you for having
today.
us.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, I guess let us know your thoughts, everyone, about nursing. If you guys are a nurse, let us know about how you feel being a woman of color in nursing or just a nurse in general. So yes, to the queen and all of you guys. Till next episode.
Yes.